All right, so today we are going deep, really deep on something that, well, frankly, changed America forever.
I'm ready to dive in.
The Civil War amendments.
Yeah.
The 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Yeah.
Passed right after the Civil War.
Yeah.
A period of just colossal upheaval.
Yeah, I mean, trying to stitch the nation back together. Right?
Exactly. And these amendments, they were meant to fundamentally reshape the U.S., and honestly, their ripple effects are still huge today.
No doubt about it.
We've got some incredible source material, actually, excerpts from this document called The Civil War Amendments, and some really cool images, too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, showing the text of the amendments themselves.
Awesome.
So our mission today, if you choose to accept it, is to really grasp what these amendments actually say. Like, what were their goals, and why do they still matter so much, even now, all these years later?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start with the 13th Amendment. It's short and to the point. It basically says, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist within the United States.
Boom. Mic drop.
Right. Like, just powerful, straightforward.
That's it. That's the amendment. I mean, it officially abolished slavery in the U.S., a monumental shift, right?
Yeah, totally. Can you imagine, what it must have been like for millions of people who were suddenly emancipated after generations of forced labor? That shift, I mean, wow.
It's almost impossible to grasp the magnitude of that change, both for the individuals and for the nation as a whole. Everything was up for grabs. The social order, the economy, the very definition of freedom.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of hard to wrap our minds around it.
Yeah.
But the fight for true equality, it didn't stop with ending slavery, right?
No, not at all. It was just the beginning, really.
Yeah. So then comes the 14th Amendment. And this one's a little more complex.
A bit more nuanced, you could say.
It's not just one declaration. It's like this multi-pronged approach to guaranteeing rights and protections for all citizens.
Exactly. And it's fascinating how this amendment, initially intended to protect the rights of newly freed slaves, has had implications far beyond that. Like, did you know it's even been used to argue for the rights of corporations?
Wait, really? Corporations have rights under the 14th Amendment.
Well, that's the argument, and it's been pretty influential. It's called corporate personhood. This idea, stemming from the 14th Amendment, has fueled ongoing debates about the role of big business in American politics and whether they have too much power because of it.
Wow. I never knew that. So can we break down the different sections of the 14th Amendment?
Sure. Let's take it piece by piece. Section 1, it lays the foundation. It establishes birthright citizenship. If you're born in the U.S., you're a citizen, period. It also guarantees equal protection of the laws to all citizens. And this equal protection clause, it's been at the heart of so many legal battles for civil rights, from desegregation to marriage equality.
I've definitely heard about the equal protection clause, but what are some examples of landmark cases where it's been used?
Oh, there are so many. Think about Brown v. Board of Education, the case that desegregated public schools. That was a huge victory for the civil rights movement, and it was based on the 14th Amendment.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So it's like this powerful legal tool that keeps being applied to new situations even today.
Absolutely. It's had a ripple effect throughout history. Now, Section 2, it originally aimed to push states to give black men the right to vote. They did it by, saying they'd penalize states that denied that right. But as we know, just putting a right in the Constitution doesn't mean it'll automatically happen.
Sadly, yeah. Especially when you look at the history of voting rights in this country, it's been a constant struggle.
For sure. Section 3, now, that one bars anyone who participated in the Confederacy from holding federal office.
So no more ex-Confederates running the show. Makes sense.
Yeah, a way to prevent, former rebels from regaining power. And then Section 4, it tackles the issue of public debts, making it clear that any debts incurred by the Confederacy were invalid, cleaning up the financial mess, so to speak.
All right, so it's starting fresh on all fronts.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 14th Amendment, it's this incredibly important tool for equality. But it sounds like the battle for voting rights specifically, that just kept going even after it was passed.
Yeah, unfortunately it did.
Which is where the 15th Amendment comes in.
Exactly. The 15th says you can't be denied the right to vote because of your race, color, or previous condition of servitude. So on paper, it was supposed to secure voting rights for black men.
Right. But in reality?
Well, a lot of states, they found ways to get around it.
Like how? What do they do?
Well, think about poll taxes, where you had to pay to vote. Or literacy tests, which were often designed to be impossible to pass.
Right. So deliberately trying to block people from voting.
Exactly. And then there were these things called grandfather clauses. Basically, if your grandfather could vote before 1867, then you could too.
But wouldn't that automatically exclude most black citizens?
Yep. Their grandfathers had been enslaved, so they couldn't vote. It was a sneaky way to disenfranchise black voters.
Wow. It's disheartening to see how much resistance there was to equal voting rights, even after these amendments.
Yeah, it shows how deep-rooted some of these prejudices were. The amendments were a huge step forward, don't get me wrong, but they didn't magically erase racism or inequality overnight.
So what's the main takeaway here?
Yeah.
We've got these three powerful amendments, the 13th abolishing slavery, the 14th promising equal protection and citizenship, and the 15th supposed to guarantee voting rights.
Yeah.
But the battle for true equality, it didn't end there, right?
Not even close. It's an ongoing process. These amendments, they laid the groundwork. They put these core principles of freedom and justice right into our legal system.
Right into the Constitution itself.
And they still shape how we think about and debate these crucial issues today, Think about everything going on with voting rights, equal protection, and even just the idea of what it means to be a citizen. You can see the echoes of these Civil War amendments everywhere.
It really is amazing, isn't it, how these amendments from such a specific point in time, they still have this huge impact.
Yeah.
They're still relevant.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, how do these principles enshrined in these amendments, how do they help us understand the challenges we're facing today? The fight for equality, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And these amendments, they're like crucial markers along the way.
I love that. A marathon, not a sprint. Well, on that note, I think we've reached the finish line for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. Keep those wheels turning, and we'll see you next time.
See you then.